everything going on that a family has loved. A young guy who is not with us today because of our police department. And what we're looking for is transparency. Justice will not be served in this case because Amir will not be with us, but we can get some the family.
Thank you. Minucci. We're here. Support them. The blood has been tremendous. One have are here to support and to support the family right now. Wrongful death. To be only enforced, but implement them. Actually require leaders in almost 2 years ago. As a ban on no-knock warrants. There was no ban on no-knock warrants in Minneapolis, and I know both our legal team and the press, I'm sure, is going to be working very hard over the next several weeks and months to figure out exactly how many no-knock warrants happened in the city of Minneapolis since they quote-unquote banned them. A number of the community members have shown up, or people who have lost loved ones at the hands of police violence. It's a pain that is indescribable. And it comes in large part because not only are these killings avoidable, but they come at the hands of people we're supposed to trust and love and are supposed to serve everyone. And the devastation is compounded as a result of that. So, we've obviously already had one press conference today. I don't want to say too much, but I think it's just important to see again how many people show up because we're killing loved ones unnecessarily. Look at all the cameras that are here. There were more cameras than this here over the last 2 years, yet we're still here again. So unless we stand up and demand real, actual change and accountability, we're all going to be back here again. And another mother, another father, another brother, another sister, another cousin, another aunt, another uncle, another grandparent, and another friend is going to lose a loved one needlessly and unnecessarily. So what I'd like to do now is turn to the mother of Amir Locke, Karen Wells.
As I say my baby boy's name, Amir Locke, each and every one of you are going to learn about Amir Locke. My son didn't deserve what happened to him. He was born and raised in the Twin Cities. He was planning on coming back to Dallas, Texas, where I'm currently at, where he was living as well, to work on and pursue many goals that he had planned. But on 2/2/22, it was taken away from him. Our son is a deep, deep sleeper. I've always been on the opposite end of the protest and in support of everybody. I lived here for over 25 years, and I raised both my sons. This is very, very detrimental and heart-wrenching and hard, because I was always an advocate for the family that went through this, but never in a million years would I have ever imagined that my son Amir, who is born and raised in the Twin Cities, law-abiding citizen, did everything he was supposed to do, was raised with moral and values, loved by so many, everybody that came in contact with him. He had a beautiful spirit and a beautiful smile. Never would I have imagined that I would be standing up here talking about the execution of my son by the Minneapolis Police Department. I should not have to be here. I should be able to FaceTime with my son like I did on last Friday. I should be able to tell my son that I love you and he says I love you too. But now I have to do that in spirit. I can't do it in the flesh. That's not right. At the end of the day, I believe that he was executed by the MPD, and I want the police officer that murdered my son to be prosecuted and fired.
You're now going to hear from Amir Locke's father, Andre Locke.
Every one of you that's here today either have a son or a daughter. For each of you that's out here with the press, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. How many of you guys have sons of your own? Let me see, raise your hands. Put yourselves in our shoes. How does that feel to know that your son is sleeping comfortably in a safe place, peacefully, and someone takes it upon themselves to choose who lives and who dies? I'm burning in the inside. Man, I didn't think my son. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen too many times. Too many times. I have to think of my mother right now. I'm sorry. Let her rest. She'll tell me to straighten it up and speak straight. But and me being one of the stronger ones of the family, I have to get it together. I have 5 sons. I have 4 daughters. Amir was the oldest, so he was the 3rd oldest. I love Amir dearly. I love each of them dearly. Amir was a bright light, and he deserves to be able to shine. I apologize. Amir there's so much that we can say about Amir. Again, I want you to put yourselves in our shoes. And think about someone kicking your door in, or not even necessarily kicking the door in. If that would have happened, at least he'd have awakened, possibly. But by him being such a deep sleeper, what we saw when the officer kicked the couch, Amir wasn't even moving before then, until the officer startled him. When he kicked the couch, when he aggravated Amir, when he forced Amir to respond, to protect himself, as any law-abiding citizen would do and has the right to do.
That's right. That's right, yeah.
I definitely agree. We want the officer who took our son's life, we believe that he executed him. Our son, Amir, we believe it. And we definitely want him prosecuted to the fullest. And he needs to be out of there. The same officer has all of these different complaints. There's so much that I'd like to say. I don't want to hold my tongue about anything. I just don't want to see it happen to anyone else, to no one's child. Thank you, guys.
And with respect to the prosecution, you know, as Amir's parents noted, we have seen the reports that Attorney General Keith Ellison is going to be involved in the investigation of the matter, and obviously we welcome that given his office's track record in successfully prosecuting officers who needed to be prosecuted in the state of Minnesota. Now we're going to give an opportunity to Amir's aunt and uncle, Linda and Andrew Tyler, to speak.
We're at this press conference not because my nephew is going to join the Minnesota Timberwolves, not because he's going to become a Viking player. We're at this press conference because a police officer decided to be judge and jury, not to warn him, not to say, wake up, not to offer anything, and for you to say in the news that they tried to save him. You would try to save somebody when you're trying to kill them. When you know you're wrong, you have to try and save them. My brother and sister, this is my sister. That was her son. That was her baby son. I was at the hospital when he was born, and we cut the umbilical cord. And for all of you, this is your son. He is a citizen of the United States of America, and he resides in I reside in Illinois. He resides in Minnesota. You should be outraged, not because he's an African American, but you should be outraged just because one of your citizens died at the hand of another citizen. It is time out for this. I'm sorry. It is time out. When they send their boys and when they raise their kids, we raise them with a certain creed. Do this. Put your hands on the wheel. Make sure you look at them eye to eye. Don't move too soon. Don't go into your pockets. Just sit still. We train our kids up like that because we want them to live just another day. It is like an officer who will say, their family will say, I just want my husband, my son, my daughter to make it back home. I'm worried about them because it's bad out there. It's deadly out there. These parents have that same pain. These parents experience the same thing. We have got to stop doing that to our kids. That was my nephew. And for all of you out there and you who are reporting, report the news accurately. Don't spin the story. Don't spin the story to make it feel good for the officer because he's your citizen too. Make sure you say it and you say it plain. Amir was a gun-carrying, licensed individual. NRA should be excited about that. I carry a card, and many of you probably here carry a card. And you want to talk about why would he have his gun on him? Why? Because when you live in a house, you keep your gun near you, which is at your bedside. That's what I would do. And so if any intruder comes in, I'm going to reach for my gun to protect my house and my home. Amir was at his cousin's house. He was at his cousin's house in the sanctity of his house. And he was there. Of course he had his gun by his side because where else is he going to put it? He was sleeping at somebody else's house. So he keeps it by his side. And if you would have came in there on me and you, any reasonable individual will understand that you would respond as he did. And he didn't point the gun, so change the narrative. You can say he brandished a gun, but he didn't brandish it. You guys need to get this story right. You will not smear my nephew's name. You will not on my watch. You are not going to do this to my people anymore. So y'all need to get ready for what's about to happen here in Minnesota.
My name's Andrew Tyler. This is my daughter, Olivia. I had to pause for a second and think about what my wife said, and I had something in mind that I wanted to say, but I like to switch up a little bit. I like to give honor to God before I do anything. It was ahead of my life, and I want to read a scripture to you really quick. Genesis 4. God questions Cain. Says, am I my brother's keeper? And as my wife was speaking, I said, am I my brother's keeper? Are the reporters my brother's keeper, my nephew's keeper? Are the police? The police, are they? The SWAT team, are they my brother's keeper? Are they my nephew's keeper? And here's what God says. He says, his blood crieth unto me from the ground. His blood crieth unto me from the ground. We're here today because Amir's blood cries from the ground, right? Am I right about it? It screams from the ground. It screams that I had a blanket over my head. Somebody kicked the couch, and I want to reiterate that again because you're not saying it in the news. He was still asleep. They kicked the couch, started him out of his sleep. You can't kick nothing under me and then expect me to act right. What are you looking for? You're looking to incite someone. You're looking for a reaction. Not only are you looking for the reaction, you're looking for time to kill. That's what he did. That's what he did. That's what his neighbors around him did. I'm talking about the officers now. That's what the SWAT team around him did. They were waiting. There was an expectation. In my mind, as I reviewed the video over and over again, because they played it in slow motion. They played it in slow motion and they sped it up. When you go into someone's dwelling, the interim chief said they screamed out before they crossed the dwelling. His hand already pushed the door open. He's in the damn dwelling. His hand is in the dwelling. There is no voice of opinion to say, we're the police, we're coming in to get you. It's a lie. It's a lie from the get-go. Think about the technicality of the case while we're reporting, okay? That's what I really want to get involved in. And I want to say this. From Emmett Till to Amir, Black men have been, isn't it funny we're at the beginning of Black History Month and we have to go through this? She said he was born on 11/11. He's assassinated on 2/2. There's something to be said about the numbers, y'all. There's something to be said about the numbers. And Black history is not necessarily Amir's story. It's his story. His story doesn't end right here. His story does not end right here. And it shouldn't have had to end with a bunch of mess, man. 3 warrants, come on. I mean, the warrants, 3 apartments, you're simultaneously raiding people. You know you're not supposed to be doing it. I got to say one more thing before I go. I, too, was at the hospital when Amir was born. I watched his mother as a pregnant woman in travail, and how she pushed, and how she bared, and how she suffered, and how her long suffering led to her raising a wonderful man. Father was in the room. Wasn't a deadbeat. Father was in the room. I watched him. I even chuckled with my brother Andre and Andre Locke Sr., and I laughed, and I said, man, I remember when, 22 years ago, you guys have robbed us of that, man. You have robbed us of that, and it's not right. It's not right. We want more than justice. We want more than justice. What do I mean? You see it, you claim it. My pastor says right is right, wrong is wrong, and right don't wrong nobody. Right is right, wrong is wrong, and right don't wrong nobody. Just tell the truth, man. Just tell the truth. God bless you all, and thank you.
Next, we're going to welcome Amir's cousin, Nanika Constantino.
Amir's mom is my Aunt Karen, and my Aunt Karen and my dad are siblings, but we're a very close family. I would like to say that Black bodies are under attack, and they've been under attack. And Black people, Black men, Black women, you are not 3/5 human. That was ratified in 1788, I believe. Let me look. 1788. So you are not 3/5 human. The Second Amendment applies to you as well as the First. There is not a different code that we have to live by, being Black in America. What has been most hurtful as it relates to Amir Locke is the narrative that came out from the Minneapolis Police Department from the beginning. And it was a narrative that said it's okay to criminalize you as a Black man first. So what I mean by that, and some examples of that, is we see a picture of the gun, but no statement about him being a licensed gun owner, registered gun, a conceal and carry permit, right? So they issue that, and they knew at the time that they gave us that picture, and I don't want to blame the media, right? Because at the time that was fed to you, you had no other information. So who was feeding it to you? That's a systemic issue. It's a systemic issue. So you got the picture. You didn't know he was a registered gun owner. You hear a narrative that a young man or a man was shot in a warrant, while serving a warrant. So what was most difficult for the family was hearing that he was a criminal and having to fight against that narrative when she fought against that narrative his entire life. She fought against that narrative the 9 months that she carried him. She fought against that narrative every single day, which is why he doesn't have a record. But see, we had to know that they were going to play this game, this racist game, and we have to stop this. That, my friends, And people who aren't friends, that's unacceptable. Because what happens is we're dealing with the pain and the trauma. And this is traumatic. This is traumatic for everyone. But the reason it's a little more traumatic for black families is because we know that black bodies are under attack. We've had this conversation with our kids. We've had these tough discussions. Make sure you hold your head up high. And these are the same conversations that they were having with Emmett Till. So that was a harmful narrative, to be able to fight against that, the lack of truth. Because then what happens is somebody looks at that information and they say, you know what, he's just another thug. He's just another beep, beep, beep. Police don't go and raid a house for no reason, but what we have to reconcile is the fact that no-knock warrants systematically impact black families and black people. They do not walk into the families of our white brothers and sisters this careless. So what I mean by that is they know the layout of the apartment that they're going into. They know if the person in the apartment is there, right? And they know if the subject of the warrant isn't present or never was in the unit at all. And so the problem with this is it allows people to see a narrative and it softens their heart, right? It hardens their heart, and it softens the heart of black mothers and black families. And so we have this division and this push and pull going on, carefully orchestrated by people who should be bringing us all together. This is unacceptable. And the hardest part is a lot of times when you see these conferences, the first thing you hear a black mother say is he was a good kid. You know, he was this, he was that, because we have to humanize him and we have to overcome what the Minneapolis Police Department has deposited in you day one, day two. And that is not fair. Shame on you, the office that is supposed to put this information out. We contacted them and they said, you know, we didn't say race. I said, well, at the time, you knew that Amir Locke was not the subject of the warrant. Why didn't you release the warrants out to the media? Why did you release the gun and not the fact that it was registered? You know that it was registered right away. You know that he wasn't the subject of this particular investigation. You know that you walked in to several units. Why do we have to get bits and pieces to harden the hearts of people that would be empathetic? It's not right, and it's a disservice to you. It's a disservice to our white brothers and sisters as well that should be standing with us. That should be standing with us, because we have inclusive families. We have a little bit of everything in our family. We have a little bit of everything in our family, and this hits you a little bit different when there's a black or brown child in your home, because now you have to have the same conversation that we've been having with our families all along. So, no-knock warrants, we know that that's a systemic issue. We are law-abiding, right? We're law-abiding. This is a systemic issue. It hits black families in a different way than it hits the white community, and we all need to be outraged about that.
Amir Locke. Amir Locke. Amir Locke. Amir Locke.
You know, Nanika, you reminded me of something as you were talking, which was, and I don't know if the person's here who was holding them accountable last night. I know Nakima's probably here and has been locking it down, but I couldn't tell who was asking why did the MPD do a press release where they referred, is that you? Michelle, is that you, Michelle? Thank you, Michelle Gross. Twice they called Amir a suspect. The word is victim. The word is victim, not suspect. Victim.
Victim.
Next, we're going to have another one of Amir's cousins speak, Nika Gray. Oh, his aunt. I'm sorry, aunt. I apologize.
First, giving honor to God because He's the head of our lives. And one thing I know is that we serve a mighty God.
Yes.
One thing that I know is that God is going to continue to take care of our family.
Yes.
I was there when Amir was born. I held her leg up and I coached her to push. We were there. Amir, yes, was my nephew, but Amir was my baby. He is all of our baby.
Yes.
Andre and I are brothers and sisters.
Yes.
All of our kids belong to all of us.
Yes.
We saw the news that morning. We saw the news. Anytime that something happens in the community, my siblings and I are on a call, and we're right away praying for all of the individuals involved.
Yes.
But one thing that we did not know that morning, at the time that we were praying, that it was our baby. It was our baby that took his last breath without any of us there. It was our baby that lost his life senselessly at 22 years old. He was 22, and he died on 2/22. The amount of trauma that our family and community has endured over these last couple of days is not okay. The fact that our family had to sit and be surprised, we knew the video was going to be released. We didn't know what time the video was going to be released. At the time that the video was released, we were all together, and to see our baby murdered, executed, taken away from us was extremely traumatizing. People talk about, oh, we support the family, and oh, be there for the family. Where are the mental health supporters? Amir was not a criminal. Where are the mental health workers that we talked about? The people that we voted to help support the police and the community. I know I took my kids to vote that day. Well, I took my kids to vote. We made sure that we helped re-elect Mayor Fry to make sure that he implemented the changes that he said he would. And right now, that's what our family needs. We demand justice. Amir didn't have to die. Amir wanted to be famous. He wanted to take care of his entire family. That's something that he vowed to do. My babies called me Nina, as they're all of my nieces and nephews. And my baby said to me, Nina, I'm going to be rich, and I'm going to take care of this entire family. I'm going to be famous. This is not the way he needed to be famous. We will continue to say his name, Amir Locke, because he is somebody, and he meant something to all of us. The sad part is none of you will get to know the individual that he was. He was life to us, and he was taken away, and we want justice. Not just for Amir, not just for our family. We want justice for the families to be. We want change. We want the change that people are talking about, our community leaders are talking about and speaking about. But don't just speak about it, be about it. If you talk about support, you talk about social justice and racial equity, make it happen. The dollars are there. Put the right people in position. We're not saying dismantle the police. We're not saying get rid of the Minneapolis Police Department. What we are saying is give them the proper training so that when they walk into our households, we are here to live another day. That's what we need. We need full transparency. We need strength. We need prayer. We need guidance. We need everybody to know Amir's name. Amir Locke. Thank you. collectively want to just remind you that there are shootings that happen across the United States. Why is it when the person doesn't look like me that you're able to say, drop your weapon? Why is it then that people are able to utilize the training and de-escalate a situation? Why is it that you don't run up in your community with these no-knock warrants with the same venom that you run up into ours with? We have to examine that. We have to examine why the media, not just the media, but why the media department at the police department does what they do the way that they do it, to deposit the cognitive dissonance required for you not to give a damn. That's the problem. And so Amir Locke is all of our babies. He's your baby as well. And so we ask you to partner with us in this. We ask you to partner with us in this and practice empathy when no one's looking, right? Clicking and making comments that he was a criminal. Take those comments back. Take those comments back once you have the information. If you were waving the flag of hate, we ask you to just put that down and walk with us.
Thank you. Before I call our next two speakers, I do want to let everyone know the family, obviously, aside from having very little time to grieve, has a number of commitments. And so we may need to leave before the entirety of the press conference concludes. We urge everyone to stay. And I just want to be clear, it's by no means meant to not show how much we care and love everyone here for the support and how much the family values it. The family just wants to make sure they have the opportunity to speak to as much of America as they can while still finding time to grieve through this process. The next two speakers that we're going to have, just want to introduce them both briefly, are two very, very close family friends, so much so that Amir would consider them an aunt and uncle. So the first speaker I want to call is Ms. Keisha Wilbon.
As you all have heard from everyone up here, Amir was a good kid. But I'm not here to convince you all of that because Amir did nothing wrong. Amir he didn't do anything wrong. But I'm going to say Amir was a good kid. He was raised with values. He was raised with morals, or as we say in our homes, good home training. There was nothing we can ask Amir to do different than what he did that night. Amir is Karen's son. Amir is Andre's son. Amir is my son. Amir is your son, and your son. We are so tired, as a mother of two adult black males, we're tired. We're so tired of begging and pleading to see our sons, respect our sons. We're now demanding that you see our sons and respect our sons. Amir's memory will live on through Karen, through Andre, through all of us. We will take on that fight to make sure every state within the United States no longer have no-knock warrants. Because it's at the detriment of our black girls and black boys, black men and black women. As I'm going to say it again with my Southern country accent, I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired. I have no more tears to shed. And I'm going to say it again. We're no longer begging, we're no longer pleading. And I ask each of you, before you get to your next breaking story, before you write another story to vilify Amir or any other African-American male or female, I want you to pause and just imagine that that's your brother, your sister, your niece, your nephew, your loved one. Because just as you love yours, we love Amir. We love our black sons and daughters just as much as you love yours. I, as a black mother, I'm so tired of living in fear. when my sons leave my front door. I can't rest until they return to my front door. Never in a million years did we think this would hit this close to home. When Karen and I met at the daycare, Amir was in the infant room. Amir should be here today. Amir should be living out his hopes and dreams and everything he had planned. But I'm going to say this. We are here to fight for Amir. We will keep his name going, his legacy going. We are Amir.
Yes.
And I'll say it again. We are tired. We are tired. We are tired. We're no longer asking and we're no longer pleading. And that's all I have to say.
Let me say something. First off, I'm absolutely thankful for everyone being here and being supportive. I have to reiterate, Amir, our son, Amir never got the chance to see who killed him. He never got a chance to pull the covers from over his head. He never got a chance. And I want that to stick with you. He never saw who killed him. Thank you.
Now we're going to call the last speaker from the family, Mr. Scott Reed.
So they talk about transparency and facts, all right? Here's some facts that Minnesota reminds me, we often call it, well, Mississippi, Mississippi with snow. We have some of the largest disparities when it comes to education, employment, home ownership, and now justice. And we're tired of it. We're tired. We're not asking anymore. We're demanding, right? We got to demand, and we demand by who we vote, who we put in office, and by our actions. We don't need folks to sit around and feel pity for us. We need action. We need folks to join so this kind of stuff will never happen again, right? So Andre and Karen told me, he said, talk about the facts, right? So here's the facts, all right? Great parents, good parents that taught him to live life right? Here's the facts, that he should be with us today. Here's the facts, that he won't celebrate a birthday with us because somebody made a decision. And I got to say it, because he was black, he was treated that way. Now, if you don't want to admit that, if you have trouble facing that, that's a fact. That's a fact because it happened all too often. We sat and watched the television, and we saw in Virginia a white man kill 2 police officers, and he's still alive today. I'm not saying I want anybody dead. God forbid that. I don't want that. But I just want the same opportunity for our kids, for Amir, that white folks get. That's right. That's right. So the fact is that we need to do better as a community. We need to do better with the laws, and we've done better by raising our children. You did a great job, Karen. You did a great job, Andre. And the fact is that he should be here with us today. So I just want to be brief and say, say his name. Amir Locke.
Amir Locke.
Say his name.
Amir Locke.
Say his name.
Amir Locke.
Thanks.
I just wanted to clarify the pronunciation of Scott's last name. It's Red, not Reed. Uncle, right? So we are going to have one last speaker, Sundiata Mininik. Uncle.
Sundiata Menelik.
Sundiata Menelik, who is the brother of Karen Wells and the uncle of Amir Locke.
I just want to say a couple things. First of all, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Yeah, Sundiata Menelik. I'm what you call a black Catholic. So, and I'm saying that to say we're going to change this narrative because I'm a Catholic. So that means I was confirmed by Archbishop Emeritus in Nebraska. So that's what I'm saying that to say. All my Catholic Christian brothers, you got to join forces.
Yes.
I'm a knight of Peter Claver. So all the knights, you got to come with me. I'm also a Knight of Columbus. They told me not to join because they were the neo-Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan. And I said, well, they said, well, Jesus is going to let you in. So I'm a Knight of Columbus. So if you're in this room, then you got to come. If you Catholic, you got to come. And it can't be like you don't know what I'm talking about. Because they had a scandal, sex scandal. So we got a lot of Catholics that don't claim to be Catholics. This thing got to stop, man. I'm just out of my mind. This is my little sister. This is my sister. This is my daughter. I'm just lost right now. I mean, why couldn't you just knock on the door? I mean, why do you have to go thinking you're going to eliminate somebody? All you had to do is knock on the door. Hello? Why is it like that? I don't understand it, and I'm a Republican. So all you Republicans that think you're a Republican, yeah, but I'm right on the tinkering end of it. You know what I mean? Just right there, like on the needle part of it. So I'm a Republican, I'm a Catholic, I'm a Knight of Columbus, I'm a Knight of Peter Claver, and what the thing is this. What we want, and I'm an American. What we want everybody to join forces, and let's just stop this. I don't want to put no blame, but we know where the blame is. But we just need to stop this. I'm lost for words. This is my son, my little, I'm lost for words. I'm lost for words, and just join us, man. Just join this family and us as brothers and sisters in this country. Let's come together and let's just stop it. That's all.
Sure.
There's one last thing that I want to say. We didn't ask to sign up for this campaign, say his or her name. We didn't sign up for this. We shouldn't have to keep saying somebody's name because they don't hear it anymore. So while we say his name, the name is not because we're saying it, because we need you to repeat it and feel good about it. The name is for you to remember it because you're going to be held accountable for it. That's it.
Councilman Osmond, you want to say that? We're going to give an opportunity. Minneapolis Councilman Jamal Osman is here and would like to say a few words.
My name is Jamal Osman. This one hits home very close. I'm a good friend of Karen, a former coworker. Found out this morning that she was Amir's son, mother. This is a good family. She's a wonderful mom. I learned a lot from her in my time. She's close to my wife. She came to my home when my daughter was born. Hold it tight. I just want to say that I'm here for the family. Everything that needs to be said was said. I'm an elected official in this house. But it seems like we're powerless. What do we have to do to stop the police killing people that look like us? This is America. This is not Afghanistan or Somalia. This is not We've seen the video, all of us. If they're looking for someone, they can wait. This is not a military. This is not the SEAL team that catching Osama bin Laden or somebody. This is our kids. This is our family. I urge my colleagues and the mayor to do something about this. We all responsible of the death of Amir. He should have been. This should have never happened. This kind of force is unnecessary. It's not the police officer that shot him, but it's the people that gave him the order, the people that put the laws here. If we get rid of no door knocking laws and so, if we get rid of it, why are we still acting on it?
Sir, you've been on the council for 2 years. Are you planning to do something about this?
I have been on the.
Let's stay focused, y'all.
I have been on the council for a very short time. I have been on the council for a short time. Yes, I will do something about it. This is my friend. This is my family. I will do everything I can. And publicly right now, I will call the mayor and tell him, fire that officer. Fire that officer. We need justice.
That's right. That's what we demanding.
We demand justice. Officer takes orders. Who made that order? Was it necessary? Do we really have to call that 7 in the morning, 6 in the morning? Was that really necessary? Was there anyone in danger? Was it a hostage situation? They could have waited. I'm here for you, and I urge my colleagues and my friends, the city is looking into us. We need to come together, change policies, and we're asking the federal and the state to get involved in Minneapolis. It's out of control. We need to do something about it. We have to stop killing people that look like me. Thank you.
So we're going to get ready to turn over the press conference. As I mentioned, there are just a number of wonderful people who are just warriors in the struggle that we have here. One of them I saw, and I might have lost him, but Dan McBryant, the brother of Dante Wright, is here to show support for the Locke family. And God bless you, Dan Mc, wherever you are. I'm now going to turn it over to Nakima Levy-Armstrong. We couldn't ask for someone with better leadership, and I think we saw that last night. So, thank you, Nakima.
It's hard to know where to begin, but the family really said it all. The fact that we have people connected to Amir who live here, who've flown here from other parts of the country, their presence dismantles racial stereotypes that people try to apply to Amir Locke. They always say, where's the black family? Here's the black family. They just talked about the way that they raised Amir. They talked about the fact that he was a licensed gun owner. They talked about his aspirations that were snuffed out. My heart goes out to Karen and Andre and every member of your family. You did not deserve this. But let me assure you that we are here standing in solidarity. And we will not hesitate to disrupt business as usual. However, we have to demand justice and accountability. So I want to see Mayor Jacob Fry step up in a more serious way, provide more hands-on oversight if he's serious about addressing policing in the city of Minneapolis. I want to see that officer, Mark Hanneman, fired immediately. I want to see Amelia Huffman fired immediately. What they did was not acceptable. It was unconscionable. We will not stand for it. So with that, what I want to do, y'all already heard I said what I had to say last night. But I want to have my husband come up. He is a licensed gun owner. Talk briefly about what should happen as a black person being able to exercise your Second Amendment rights. We're not a threat if we have a gun. I have a gun. I need a gun with all the white supremacists and racists and haters who don't believe that black lives matter. So we want to be respected when we have our guns. We need to protect ourselves because there ain't nobody coming for us but us. So I want to have my husband, Marquise Armstrong, say a few words. And then we have Donna Williams here, who was one of the brave individuals who tried to intervene when Derek Chauvin and those other 3 officers were trying to snuff out the life of George Floyd. These black men stand up, they speak up, they fight, their voices need to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you, baby, for everything you do, for the courage, the strength that it takes to stand up against the powers that be and speak with authority that you do. I, like one of the family members said, want to give an honor to God first. Then I want to give honor to this family, to Karen and Andre, to the aunties, the uncles, this family for raising an awesome son in Amir, and for the courage that it takes, the strength that it takes to come out in front of all of these lights while they are grieving the loss of a young man, Amir Locke, 22 years old. I have a 22-year-old son, a baby face. When I looked at the image of y'all son, of y'all family member, I saw a baby. Yes, he's 22. But that's the beginning stages of young adulthood.
That's right.
The beginning. And that they have been robbed of that. To the interim chief, the mayor, every other elected official that ran with this false narrative, this Disney fairy tale that they came up with, that they often do, I need you to know, you need to understand this. A half a truth is a lie.
That's right.
Because, yes, they were serving a search warrant. That's true. Yes, there was a weapon found. That's true. But that's all y'all told us. The rest of the truth you left out, so you lied. So now to my point. As a black man, as black men and women, I want to affirm that we have the right to bear arms. And we do. And we tired. My weapon is for defense. Because I have to defend myself. I have to defend my family. I have to defend my community. I have to defend my church family. Because what I know is that the police officers that swear, actually they don't swear to protect us, they swear to protect the Constitution and the laws of the land. And property. So they have no obligation to protect us. So as my wife said, and I think somebody else said, ain't nobody coming for us but us.
That's right.
So as I watched that snuff film repeatedly, in slow motion, in fast motion, over and over again, trying to see the narrative that they gave, I didn't. When I looked at the still image, what that image helped me to see, y'all did a damn good job raising him.
Yes.
Here's why I say that. because I took my permit to carry class. I've taken additional tactical training so that I'm prepared. And God forbid I have to pull my weapon. And if I do, I'm going to hit my target. It ain't going to be no stray bullets running into somebody else's house. I couldn't live with myself like that. But what I saw is that that young man paid attention. Closer to, I didn't even know him, but I saw that just in an image. It took discipline to be startled out of your sleep. Dead sleep. With screaming and yelling and lights and guns and men standing over you.
He still didn't engage. That's right.
He held his gun like this.
Yes.
This is proper gun safety. His index finger, the trigger finger, was outside of the trigger guard. His thumb was up like this. Because what he felt was a threat. When you feel a threat, you draw like this.
That's right.
You assess the situation. You find cover. Only until you acquire your target does this finger drop down, hit that safety, and when you acquire that target, then that finger drops into the trigger and squeeze. Amir wasn't in a position to shoot anybody, to cause harm to anybody. He was properly trained. He did what his instructions taught him to do.
Yes.
I saw it.
Yes.
And they know it too.
I think they put that image up thinking that we would see a gun and think that, oh, okay, well, we'll just swallow the narrative that they're giving us.
What the devil went to bed.
No, 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 no. We are smart. We are intelligent. We ain't taking it no more. There's too many years, 400 plus years that y'all have played this same damn narrative out of the same playbook. We figured it out. Okay? I'm going to close with this for our media people who are here. And it's just a quote from somebody who I admire, Haj Malik Shabazz. Y'all know him as Malcolm X. If you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppression.
That's right.
Be careful with your narrative.
That's it.
Again, I'm absolutely thankful. I have to say something else. Where's Jeff? Okay, I just want to make sure before I say this. So, I'm happy. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys so much. I have to say that I'm happy that he pointed that out, because when they initially allowed us to see the footage of our son, I had to see, let me explain this. We've been brought up with morals. We've been brought up to respect the law. We've been brought up to do the right thing. We all choose to do what we decide to do, okay? So I wanted to make sure that I had to see it for myself. The story that they put out about Amir. They made it sound like my son was waiting behind the door or something. Waiting for them to come in, like he snuck up on them or something like that. Like it was an ambush. I mean, it was the other way around. It was an ambush.
That's right.
But it was. But however, the discipline that he was taught right, he was trained right. He listened to my cousin. My cousin is a federal law enforcement officer. He's worked with the CIA, the Pentagon, and now he's with Homeland Security. He was taught to do the right things. And you saw the discipline, as he said.
Yep.
So I wanted to make sure when they allowed us to see the film, I believe that I saw it at least 3 times. And I just wanted to make sure that Amir did the right thing.
Yes.
When I saw that, I had seen enough. They asked me, are you okay? You need to see anything else? No. Let's see what happens from here.
That's right. That's right.
That was it. Because I saw in that instant that he did the right thing when I saw his finger. It was with the gun this way. First off, he was laying on his stomach. Under the cover. On his stomach with his face down. I know how he sleeps. The kid, I've been knowing this kid all his life. With his face down. And for him to turn, you could see him turning. You could see his body. Trying to turn like, what the? And then for me to see where his finger was. On the gun. Alongside the barrel. With his thumb up. I said, we'll get justice, Amir.
That's right.
We do have to, the family needs to get to some other commitments. We encourage everyone to continue to stay because you're going to hear from a lot of people who are very, very important to this community. So we thank you all. Don? You are next going to hear from Donald Williams, who we obviously know well and consider to be very much a hero here in Minnesota.
I know the family's leaving out right now. I just want to thank them for having me up here, give them their condolence and everything for their losses. They shouldn't have to go through this right now, again, that we're going through in Minnesota. But I just want to start off first with just saying this. Fred Hampton, Mark Clark, Breonna Taylor, and now Amir Locke, all murdered while sleeping. All murdered while sleeping. This is decades of the same things that we're going through. And now we're back in Minneapolis, back in Minnesota, again, for passive-aggressive police officers, right? We have an armed man with license sleeping on the couch, right? They come in the door with they say they were speaking, but they weren't. Some of them said some things and some of them didn't. But if you watch the video, they wanted to murder this man by kicking the couch and getting a reaction to have lethal death towards this man. Again, I'm just going to go back to this again. Fred Hampton, Mark Clark, Breonna Taylor, and now Amir Locke. When will this change? And how much more do we have to keep going through this no-knock orders? I'm a father. I have a son. I have a daughter. This is the reason why I'm here, because these have to change. The mayor, I will not give him no names at all. He is just a mayor. He's not doing his job. He's going through the cities at the last, the murder of the 3 kids that got murdered over north. Still no suspect. I seen him at the George Floyd things all the time. But guess who he is protected by? Guess who is his security? Guess who's walking him to all these events? Black kings. Every situation that I ran or encountered with him, he had people from the community, black men or black queens from either North Minneapolis, South Minneapolis, protecting him. Protecting him. But we cannot get him to step up and protect us. Again, I have watched this man side by side be protected by the people in our community protecting him. But he has now stepped up and protected the people of this community. None of our children, we have murderers running around with 3 children dead. No one found them yet, right? George got his justice, but again, we're back here again with Amir Clark, so many of them, and I can confuse them together. So many of them, yeah. So Amir Locke, again, I'm just gonna say this again. Fred Hampton, Mark Clark, Breonna Taylor, and now we got Amir Locke. Something has to change. Something has to change, and that's all I have to say.
Our next speaker is Tashira Garaway, who is the president of Family Supporting Families.
Again, Tashira Garaway, founder of Family Supporting Families Against Police Violence. The reason this group, this unfortunate group, was created is because time and time again, there has been people that lost loved ones here in the state of Minnesota, but those people had families that loved them, just as we've seen here with Amir today. I usually have a louder tone, but today I don't even have the energy. This is traumatizing. I spent last night on the phone with about 5 different families because every time this happens, someone else is traumatized because they only can think about their own child that was murdered. They only can think about their own significant other that was stolen away from them and their child. They only can think about their brother. So I just want the family to know that there's a group of families that are out here hurting just like they are hurting, and that we are here to stand with them, to fight with them. I think it's important that they know that these families are here that's going through the same pain, because no one knows the pain like we know the pain. No one will ever understand this pain like we do. We have to live through it every day. Every day. And you media outlets, you do this to us. You brutalize our loved ones in the media. Have some compassion in your heart for the people that love that person. Tell the truth. Stop doing this to our families, please. The legislators had a chance in the last session to pass legislation, meaningful legislation that will hold officers accountable. They won't stop until they have a reason to stop. And right now they don't have a reason to stop because there's no consequences. You think because you get 1 or 2 officers out off the street that means something when we got thousands or more out there? Think about it. It's almost 500 bodies in the last 20 years. We know that there's at least 2 to 5 officers in each murdered most of the time. But let's say we put only 1 officer to each killing. That's over 500 and something officers that have not been held accountable. You hold 2 accountable. That does nothing for the rest of the community. Reopen all the cases. We can never forget about the rest of the families that led up to Amir, that led up to Dante Wright, that led up to George Floyd. And we will not let you forget about us. We will not let you forget what you did to our loved ones. I should not be standing here as somebody that lost a loved one just in time and that you beat to death and thrown in the dumpster. St. Paul Police, the same entity that's involved in this murder. These and never was held accountable. And all the other people you killed, Cordell Andy and Marcus Golden, that you tried to sweep under the rug, we will not let you do this. You will see all of our faces come forward. All of the families are coming forward for Amir and for all the rest of the lives that you've stolen. Thank you.
Our next speaker is the Executive Director of CARE Minnesota, Jaylani Hussein.
Peace, assalamu alaikum, and peace and blessings be upon you all. I'm here today to echo what we have been saying for far too long. We could have saved Amir Locke. We could have saved Amir Locke last January at the Capitol when we introduced a bill to end this careless no-knock warrants. You know who failed us? Melissa Hortman failed us. You know who failed us? Governor Walz failed us. You know who failed us? Senator Gazelka failed us. And, of course, Warren Limmer. We have been trying to introduce some policies to at least hold these police officers accountable. We have faced opposition from every single political party because all of them are in bed with law enforcement agencies all over this country. But we need the people to wake up, because the same politician who's been knocking on your door is the same politician protecting these killer cops every single day. Amir Locke was this week, but a clock started for another person. The clock started for another person. And that is why we are demanding justice. We are demanding justice because we live in an America that has two parallel views and two parallel societies and two parallel realities. A reality that every single person thinks exists for every one of us, and a reality that only exists for black people in America. In America, we live in an America where Kyle Rittenhouse can walk around with a rifle after killing human beings, and no law enforcement sees him as a threat. And we have a young man sleeping in his own bed who is seen as a threat. He didn't need to have, on a couch, he did not need to even have a gun in his hands. They would have killed him.
That's right. That's right.
That is what we are trying to stop. We have killer cops who see us as a threat before they can even see who we even are.
That's right.
9 seconds or 9 minutes, they are killing black bodies in this city, and nothing has happened yet.
That's right.
So we demand justice. We demand that the city of St. Paul come forward and tell us exactly what happened.
That's right. Because
the city of Minneapolis is refusing to provide basic information and even answer the questions that many of your reporters have. Enough is enough. We are tired, but we are not giving up. I want to speak to our beloved community who are grieving this week, who are pained like this beautiful family is pained today. Many of you have went back to Netflix and entertainment and forgot about the work that is ahead here, because nothing happened in this state. This is one of the worst states to be a black person, whether it is education, whether it's economics, whether it's food, it doesn't matter. And the data shows that every year from this on, 50% of every child born in this state is going to be a person of color. We have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do, and politicians continue to fail us.
That's right.
Just alone, the governor put out a public safety bill that did not include a single policy to hold police accountable. We have to do better. We demand that from every politician. We demand that from our beloved community. And for the sake of Amir and for the countless lives that we want to save, we need to hit the streets. We need to hit the streets. We need to demand justice. We need to take many Minnesotans who are comfortable at home to not be comfortable, because there's a family grieving in Minneapolis. There's a family grieving in Minneapolis. And there's a community grieving all over this country. And there are black young men who are afraid to walk in their own city, to sleep in their own couches. We need to do better. And I'm tired of coming forward and saying we could have saved another human life because we did not have the moral fortitude to stand up. And the ones who do, they oust them. Where's Representative Thompson? The only one who has some testicular fortitude, they try to kill him out. And for the law enforcement, we hear from many of you that they're bad apples. Why are you so silent? Why are you silent? Why are you complicit? It is time to fire this officer. It is time for Attorney General Keith Ellison to take it out of the hands of Mike Freeman and to bring murder charges. We will not have peace until we get justice. We will demand justice for Amir Locke by any means necessary.
Our next speaker is Michelle Gross, who's the president of Communities United Against Police Brutality.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Michelle Gross, and I'm president of Communities United Against Police Brutality. I'm not here to make news. I'm here to make change. We have to make change in this community and in this state if we want to stop burying black bodies. That's right. That's the facts. Last night, some of us attended a press conference with the mayor and the interim police chief. And we asked some questions. And they might have been hard questions, but they weren't really hard because they were part of what is happening, and they should know what is happening. That's right. And yet they refused to answer those questions. They ran out of a press conference without answering the question of why did you release pictures of Amir's gun, but not Mark Hanneman's gun? That's right. They ran out without telling us when they will release the warrant. They ran out without telling us why they named Amir Locke as a suspect when he was never even on the warrant. That's right. They ran out the door. Our organization, along with these other organizations, went to the legislature last year. We pushed for a no-knock warrant bill. It got watered down to be virtually meaningless and then passed, and here is what we have today. This is what we talked about a year ago. We predicted these incidents. We predicted these problems. We predicted this loss of life. And the legislature, because they're beholden to the law enforcement lobbies, refused to pass a meaningful bill. We have had far enough time since George Floyd was killed to see some action at the legislature and to see some action in this city hall. And it hasn't happened. It's unacceptable. We're not tolerating it. I learned something this morning when I was testifying on that bill at the legislature. Eric Rice, the attorney for Jaleel Stallings, said that some of the very same officers who fired on Jaleel Stallings brutally beat him and then lied to cover up what they did and to implicate him and get him criminally prosecuted. Those same cops were in the apartment of Amir Locke. I haven't had time to look up their names to see who they are. That should be something you do. But I insist that you do it. We now learned this morning that St. Paul never asked for a no-knock warrant. It was Minneapolis insisted that it be a no-knock warrant. Okay, well, if it's a no-knock warrant, where were your ballistic shields? Where were your ballistic shields? There is a concept in the law called state-created danger. It means that the state creates the circumstance that puts other people in danger and themselves as well, and then benefits from that creation. This is what has happened here. They walked into an apartment of a man who was sleeping soundly. They woke him by kicking the couch he was sleeping on, and then when he reacted as a licensed gun owner, they then annihilated him. That is a classic example of state-created danger. We will not stand for it. That's right. We will not tolerate it. You will give this family some measure of justice. We are not going to allow you to continue. And for Amelia Huffman to stand in that room last night and to say, we don't know why it was a no-knock warrant. We don't know what the investigation was from St. Paul. She is a liar. Just like she and Jacob Fry ran themselves out of that room when they did not want to answer our questions. Let them run themselves out of office now. We are about change, and we will have change in this state. It's not an option, it's a mandatory, and we will not be silenced until we stop having the murders of our community members in the streets and in their homes. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Representative John Thompson.
Happy Black History Month to the state of Minnesota and to Minneapolis. Out of all the cities in the entire state of Minnesota, this keeps happening far too often in this city. I feel sorry for my sister who's, this is a freshman city councilwoman. For you to lay this in her lap. Chief Arredondo did what he was supposed to do. He got the hell up out of here. For y'all to lay this in a freshman's lap. It's not the city council. We have a systemic problem within the Minneapolis Police Department. Happy Black History Month, Minnesota. That man didn't have a chance. And the thing is, like, I didn't want to watch this video. I didn't want to see the video. And then I watched the video, and I saw another snuff movie. And if I'm not mistaken, if Tashira was here, I just spoke to her last week. I said, I'm not psychic, I'm just black. They're going to kill another black man in this state again until we pass some meaningful legislation to put the fear of something in these police officers here in this state. I'm not using this like some of these other people as a political talking piece, because I ain't never been a politician, but I've been black all my life. I've been black all my life. I know what it feels like to watch somebody's son get snuffed out like we just watched. And that lady, she was soft-spoken with y'all. Welcome to Minnesota. I know y'all. I'm talking about y'all. I know y'all. Y'all demonize black men here in this state. Y'all, media. I'm not in a battle. Next time I hear one of y'all say, in battle, John Thompson, I'm going to call you personally. I'm not in battle. I'm a black man. I watched my black friend be murdered in 2016. Then I watched another black man be murdered 2017. I watched another black man be murdered 2018, 19, 20, 21, and 22. Am I crazy? Am I crazy? I'm not anti-nothing, so stop calling me Antifa. I'm anti-bullshit, and y'all can stop selling that in the media. Y'all can stop selling that in the media. I demand that some of you media outlets step down from your position because you've been demonizing black men in this state for his, and if the lady hadn't said that, y'all still be calling that man a suspect, like you call Philando Castile a suspect. This ain't new. What happened to that young man yesterday, that day before yesterday wasn't new. That happened to Fred Hampton Jr. in Chicago. It's a fact. These white supremacist tactics ain't changed, just the faces. I'm sorry about my brash delivery, but it keeps happening. I'm sorry about my brash delivery, but it keeps happening. It's going to happen to your son. Just like it happened to Justine DeMond, it's going to happen to your grandson. I'm going to be standing right here with you. I'm not going to be in battle, John Thompson. I'm going to be the man that told you. I'm going to be the man that told you, one of you white folks out here in this crowd, it's going to happen to one of your sons here in this state. I'm going to be right here with you. Pardon my brash delivery, but I'm sick of watching snuff movies. I'm sick of city council members and mayors and politicians playing like we not seeing what we seeing. They said the same thing about Rodney King. My heart goes out to anybody who believes that we can reform this and want to work with them, but every time we try to work with these people, I'll give you an example of what I'm saying. When we try to pass meaningful legislation, our legislators say the Chiefs Association won't go for that. The union won't go for that, but the union and the Chiefs Association and the Sheriff's Association, they're our problem. I know you want to protect your officers, but we want to protect our people. I know you want to protect us, but we want to protect our people from officers that mean us no good in our community. Right now, they're figuring out a way to lock, I promise you I'm not lying, they're figuring out a way to lock our kids up for the gun violence, but they won't provide mental health providers in our community. They can figure out a way to lock our people up in this doggone state. They can't figure out a way to keep our kids out of the cycle of crime. Our kids are in the worst education systems in the state of Minnesota. Our housing situation is the worst in the nation. Happy Black History Month to the state of Minnesota. I don't want to see y'all at this young man's funeral crying with VIP stickers. I'm talking about my legislative colleagues. I don't want to see y'all at this man's funeral trying to politicize and say what you've done for this family, because you're not here now. And I'm not going to sit there and act like y'all going to blame that on the Republicans or the Democrats. It's all of y'all. It's all of y'all. We can say they're two birds, two wings of the same bird. Because this stuff been happening for as long as I've been black. As long as I had feet to walk with, this has been happening to black men across this state. And the media, y'all been doing the same thing y'all been doing as long as I've been black. You did it to Martin Luther King. You did it to Fred Hampton Jr. You did it to every civil right. You did it to Nakeem Levy-Pounds, Marquise Armstrong. Everybody that stand up and say we're sick and tired of this, you try to demonize us in the media. You're responsible for us being killed in the doggone streets. You promote that our communities are violent. You promote that. Some of the most violent people get away with crime. I seen the man tear his car up and fold it like a piece of aluminum foil and lie to the investigators. I seen the man that actually shaft in this building right here. I see y'all don't report that every day. He's still out. I see y'all don't. I don't want to play with y'all. Y'all know I don't want to play with y'all. I'm the last call for alcohol. Y'all know better. Y'all know what y'all do in the media to black men too. You said Philando Castile was a criminal because he had a quarter ounce of weed in his car. He'd probably still be smoking his weed had y'all not pumped all them bullets in his body. We're sick of playing with y'all. My last piece. Our Republican colleagues in the House proposed $68 million. $68 million is what they asked for to invest in policing and police officers. We want a refund on our dollars we've been spending here in this state. We want you to invest some of that money into mental health providers, teachers of color, educators of color, jobs and economic development, housing, STEM training. We want you to educate our kids and not incarcerate our kids. I know y'all gonna get me in the media yelling, but I don't give a damn because I'm tired of y'all. Y'all faces ain't changed. Y'all tactics ain't changed. This ain't no different than Brian Gumble. You know what I'm talking about? I've been black all my life, so if y'all sick of me telling people stop killing our people, I love y'all. All power to the people.
DJ with TCC for J.
All right, DJ. All right, DJ.
My name is DJ Hooker. I'm with Twin Cities Coalition for Justice for Jamar. And I just want to speak to a lot of people because I saw a lot of comments from around the world. I saw like a lot of white people that's like, this looks like a bad dream, right? Like this looks like a nightmare. Waking up from your sleep to be executed. And I need y'all to understand that this isn't a nightmare. This isn't something that black people can just wake up from. This is our reality. And this happens all the time. This happens so often that we can talk about other people that it happened to, like Fred Hampton, like Breonna Taylor, because these aren't special in any way. This is Groundhog Day. We're seeing it on repeat. And there's nothing that we can do. Every time we go to the Capitol, all we hear is get more Democrats elected next session, and then we can help you. They lying because they don't care. This happens so often that we have an organization of just families that have been affected by police brutality. There's enough of them to form a whole organ for them to organize together. If that's not the definition of sad, I don't know what is. My thing is we're supposed to learn from these scenarios, right? We're supposed to learn and get better. But we're not learning. We keep making the same mistake over and over. And y'all know what they say. The definition of a psychopath is not learning from one mistake, right? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. We live in a nation of psychopaths. This is absolutely insanity. So we need change. I come to you today and I don't want something to happen. I don't hope that y'all care. I need for everyone to care. A year and a half ago, we saw a man that was tortured for 9 minutes, over 9 minutes, in broad daylight. And everyone came together and they said that they cared. 9 minutes
Well, I need y'all to care because it happened in 9 seconds right now. And I need y'all, just because he didn't suffer and cry and pray to his mom because he was being tortured on video for 9.5 minutes, I still need you to care. The life of a black man and a black woman keeps getting less and less in this society. We used to be 3/5. That's what it used to be, right? And now we're just the evaluation of 9 seconds. That's how much our life matters, is that they'll evaluate a situation that they caused by kicking him for 9 seconds before they shoot and kill him. I need my life to be worth more. I need our lives to be worth more. What we need is this cop fired. We need this cop charged. And we need this cop convicted. We need a ban on no-knock warrants like we asked for before y'all watered it down. And we need state legislation passed. Okay? And because right now we need the politicians, I'm talking to the Republicans, I'm talking to the Democrats, we need them to do their job. Because we're doing our job. We're lighting up the streets every time. I'm up on Capitol Hill helping pass legislation. I'm out in the community trying to change and trying to educate the black and brown youth by being a chess coach, by going around teaching the youth how to solve Rubik's Cubes. I'm giving my community the critical thinking skills that they need, and there's nothing I can do if you're going to bust in at 6:30 in the morning and kick a couch and shoot them. There's nothing I can do to teach them to stop that from happening. I need people to care. I need laws to be changed, and I need something to change. All power to the people.
Our next speaker is Leslie Redmond.
All right, Leslie.
Grace and peace, everyone. I stood in the same spot May 2020, and I said, black people, we are done dying, and white people, you are done hiding, because your white Wakanda has been discovered, and it's time for black people's humanity to be recognized. Yet here we are again, and this time is for Amir Locke, a young 22-year-old that should still be alive today. Shortly after our brother George Floyd was murdered, I went down to Louisville, Kentucky to stand for Breonna Taylor. Never did I imagine that we would be dealing with the same situation in 2022.
That's right.
Because you see, Louisville, Kentucky, that's the land of Mitch McConnell. Here it's the land of Warren Limmer, right? We have to hold these politicians accountable. I need these liberal white individuals to stop attacking Nakima Levy-Armstrong when she stops a press conference, because you're more concerned with stopping a press conference than stopping black lives from being murdered. How many Minneapolis NAACP presidents have to stand in front of you today? We have Ms. Cynthia Wilson standing up here today. Time and time again, we've stood. We keep standing, we keep fighting, but we keep dying. It's Black History Month. We need black futures to matter. This is supposed to be Minnesota. This is supposed to be America, the lands of opportunity and hope. But we keep crying, we keep dying, and politicians keep lying.
All right.
Come on. Now, when COVID-19 happened, they spent billions and trillions of dollars to figure it out, because it mattered, because white people were dying. Where's that same energy? Where are those same resources when black people are being murdered? And reparations now. Representative John Thompson, he said it's just different cases with the same faces, or the same case with different faces. We saw Chauvin get a little bit. We saw part get a little bit, but how many more is it going to take?
That's right.
This is a systemic issue that we've been crying about for far too long. And you all have the power. We need the churches to stand up. We need schools to stand up. We need politicians to stand up. We need each and every person. Don't just do it in 2020 and then go to sleep and leave the same faces out here to keep fighting a good fight. Chantel Allen been fighting a good fight for far too long. Right. We all been fighting a fight far too long. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. I don't want to have to come. When I was walking up here today, I'm like, how many times have I had to walk up here? How many more times will we have to walk up here if you all don't get it right? It's not as if you all don't have the answers. It's not as if you all don't have the people coming to the table. You keep letting it fall on deaf ears, and you do what you want to do instead of what you're supposed to do, instead of what needs to be done. And then you paint black people who have a voice and black leaders out to be villains. And you demonize us for speaking truth to power. And you make the good Negroes that you want to give the money to and support their businesses and uplift them, and then you plant the bad ones that have to keep holding you accountable. That's right. So I just want to say, black Minnesota, we are done dying, and white Minnesota, you are done hiding because your white Wakanda has been discovered. And what I'm doing is speaking into existence.
That's right. Preach it.
Because right now we still are dying. Black mothers are still crying. And politicians, y'all are still lying.
We have two more speakers next week.